Welcome to my book review channel, Literature for Life, a channel that is geared towards personal growth and social responsibility. Please give me a thumbs up and share my videos if you like my content. Today I would like to introduce you to this man, Marcus Aurelius, and his great book called Meditations. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. He is in fact known to be the last of the 5 great Roman emperors. In fact, Rome began to decline after he died. Marcus Aurelius was no ordinary ruler. He ruled Rome throughout 30 years in a very difficult time for Rome. And he was also a philosopher. He was a very insightful, a very deep, and very thoughtful man. And this book is a collection of notes he wrote throughout 19 years. Notes that he wrote for himself about the observations he made about human nature, the observations he made about life, and also notes about how to rule justly, and notes that would remind him how to rule nobly and in a just manner. Marcus Aurelius belonged to a family of Stoic philosophers, and the Stoic philosophers taught people that life is short, life is hard, life that throws at us so many challenges, and that life is in a constant flux. That what really describes life in the best way is that life is in a constant change. We change all the time. Our bodies change, circumstances change, people change. So for a person to live happily and being content, we need to accept that this is life, and we need to develop fortitude, and we need to learn how to use our minds probably and how to control our feelings. So this is a very tangible philosophy, and there were a lot of people who followed this philosophy, and this is why he is so loved until this day today. I mean, this book is written about 2,000 years ago, and still people are reading his books and are inspired by his writings. And I can recommend that you read this book, because many of those self-development books you find out there are in fact inspired by this philosophy and by this book in particular. Because when you read this book, you get golden nuggets. When you read self-development books, you just get peanuts. You only get a superficial knowledge about these great personalities. I have tried to collect some quotes that are representative of the way he thought and the way he saw the world. But I can say to you, it has been such a challenge to find, to select a few quotes, because every single sentence in this book is worth quoting. It's written in a very beautiful, very simple language that anybody can read and understand. And this is, the greatest classics are written in this kind of way, so that everybody can read them and understand them. So I will now be reading a few of his quotes, and I will remark on them a bit later. See you in a bit.
You must train yourself only to think such thoughts that if somebody were suddenly to ask you, "What are you thinking of?" you could reply in all honesty and without hesitation. Be like the headland, with wave after wave breaking against it, which yet stands firm. Unfortunate am I that this thing has befallen me. No, quite the contrary. Fortunate am I that when such a thing has befallen me, I remain undisturbed, neither crushed by the present, nor afraid of what is to come. Everything suits me, which suits your designs, O my universe. Nothing is too early or too late for me, which is in your own good time. All is fruit from me that your seasons bring, O nature. All proceeds from you, all subsist in you, and to you all things return. The noblest way to avenge yourself is not to become as they are.
I hope I was able to give you an idea and an impression of how great this book was and how even greater is the author. I mean, these quotes, I mean, are so beautiful. They are loaded with wisdom and tools that we can use to become stronger people, tools and knowledge we can use to face life in a more controlled, in a stronger way. I mean, I love this quote where he says, how the waves crash into the headland and where the headland stays strong and still. I mean, it's such a beautiful picture to portray in our minds. Even so, the quote about where he speaks to nature the universe, O nature, everything subsists in you and everything will return to you. I mean, if you just exchange the words nature and universe with the word God and Allah, then no matter what cultural background you come from, you will be able to relate to his writings. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, even the quote about how we should only think thoughts that we are not ashamed of, that we in fact use our mind in a disciplined, productive, beautiful way, that we don't engage thoughts that are influenced by jealousy and envy and weakness and all of these things that weigh upon the human mind, and that we see our mind as something precious and a gift that we should be disciplined in the way we use it. Marcus Aurelius really goes beyond the ages and all cultures and speaks to that which is the most deep and most valuable in a human being. I love his universal way of speaking and his universal appeal, because we live in a country, in a world where where identity politics is being used to gain political power. We live in a time of materialism where people worship all that is material and have almost forgot that there's a soul within. We live in a time where people believe in relativism, where there's no shared values, there are no universal truths that we as human beings can rely on. So his message, his book that was written more than 2,000 or around 2,000 years ago, is so relevant for us today. So I hope I have inspired you to read this book so that you will become a stronger, more disciplined, and hopefully a more beautiful person. Thanks for giving me your time. It has been a pleasure to make this review, and I will see you next Sunday. I have nothing more to say other than peace and take care of yourself.